Hello and welcome back to another Island 54 development stream, where I'm building a massively multiplayer online game in Unity 3D and TypeScript. I have been spending the last few days working on the scalability and performance of my server side. Uh, Yesterday, I finished off the UDP proxy service that I found out I needed, and things are kind of at a point now where packets are passing around. I had some bugs at the end of yesterday's stream, but I worked on those yesterday afternoon and made a fair bit of progress. I'm still not seeing entities appearing in the client, so need to work out why that is, but I am seeing data passing to and from the client. So the main sort of loop of the communications is definitely working now. So might as well just do a demonstration of where things are at while we wait for people to come into the stream. And in fact, I forgot to bring my coffee to my desk, so just give me 60 seconds. Get a 60-second timer up. And I will be back with coffee. And I'm back again. I should really make sure I have things like that sorted out before my stream, shouldn't I? Okay. Now, I also updated my development environment yesterday. It does mean that I'm getting this exception here. It doesn't seem to impact anything, though. So I need to confirm that debugging and things work, but I'm not expecting this to cause an issue. So we'll come over here, we'll spin up backend. Seems to be up, I think. Then I'll spin up the client. See, the terrain loads, we get these meshes, still got these problem. Oh, we're getting some entities loading. That's interesting. Actually, might be a good time to work out what those entities are. That's been on my backlog for a while now. But given they're the only entities we have now, and we can see that we're receiving these sort of 1300-ish bytes of payload. Now, the fact that it's continuing to send that much data through on every tick makes me think that the client acknowledgements aren't being processed properly. That doesn't overly surprise me. It's not clear to me off the top of my head if that should be done by the session service, so the UDP proxy, or the receiver service. But while we're in here, as I said, I might as well debug what these extra entities are. They look like player capsules, but that's also my default placeholder. So I suspect these are just unknown entities of some sort. In fact, with the size of these payloads coming in, it's entirely possible that we do have entities being sent through, but for some reason the client doesn't know how to draw them. One of the changes I made before I had to suspend streaming for a while was to have all of that information about how to draw stones and trees and things pushed off into the ontology service. So it's possible the issue here is actually with the ontology service, although I would expect to see an error as we spin up. Not that error. I'd expect to see an error as we try to load the ontology, but I don't see anything there. So, all right, let's see if I can work out what these entities are. Best way to do that is probably to come into scene view, choose one that we know is definitely not the player. So the player is, okay, the player is that one. So let's select one of these. It is a remote. Let's grab that. I'm just going to make sure I'm in the latest version of this tool. I am. And I'll see if I can use this tool. There's been some fixes going into this tool lately to improve this stuff, but no, that's not working at the moment. So we'll have to do that from the command line. Projects. Yeah, I don't really need to be in here, but over here, I will just quickly bring up the network tab just to see if I can collect any information for the author of the tool. This looks like a cause issue. Just throw some cause headers in and fix that. I'd rather be able to use Emblazon for calling these APIs. It just gives me a nice interface for manipulating the responses. Restart the front end, the API service, with cause headers enabled, and I wonder if that looks better. Okay. Window doing. Nope, we're all good. So it does in fact look like it should be drawing as a flat stone. Scatter stone, flat stone. Let's just see what that looks like on the ontology service. Ontology, resource, items, scatter, stone, flat stone. Right. What have we got? Terrain, scatter stones. Terrain, scatter stones. Stone wedge 150. Okay. I'm not sure where to start debugging this. Well, I've got two things I want to debug here, right? One is why is it drawing the wrong model in the client? And that's easier to address now. Is this URL correct? that looks right. And I know I've seen these drawing correctly before. I wonder if it could be a race condition. Like if this service is taking a while to reply, I wonder if it's possible we could be receiving UDP packets in the background. And if we don't have this dictionary yet, then it won't know how to draw them. Seems plausible, doesn't it? Except we do await in here, and we shouldn't be able to receive any packets before a connection's happened. With all these expensive method invocations. Getting a bit aggressive with these warnings. Probably right. I don't know why necessarily be issues, but I'll look into that later as well. All right, so I've got a breakpoint there where we watch the ontology load. But you see, this is where we actually establish the session. So there's absolutely no way we can receive data before this point. I'm just going to stop Unity. Stopped. So the other relevant piece of code is going to be where it looks up this store, which I suppose is here. Local prefab for ontology item. Note. Okay, so given an entity update, this will return the prefab. So I'm going to come in here and see what is actually getting set in here. Okay, so how do I debug? Debug. Stop. So I just crashed Unity. Oh, I must have been running Unity from inside here. All right. So I'll debug that. Yeah, okay. Working too fast for the computer. Come on. Actually, on. No. I managed to fix the issue, by the way, of Unity loading really slowly as well. Turned out that there's a default setting in Unity that tells it to compress all of the artifacts as it loads, and that's what was actually taking so long. By telling it not to compress them, it seems to work a bit faster. I'm not aware of any downsides to that. I presume it probably creates bigger, it's probably got a bigger in-memory footprint or something while I'm debugging, but I don't particularly care. All right, we'll spin up the game. Should hit that endpoint as it fetches the ontology. Here we go. And we should now have a valid ontology store. This ontology store, it should have our items. It does. Although I do notice we don't have trees defined in here yet. I'm not sure what state that's in. Okay, so that is fine. We hit F9. Okay, we're fetching the store a couple of times.